Now that I've calmed down a little bit, I should be able to get away with not so much swearing in this one. But the DuPonts, the Astor family, the Lee from China, the Rothschild bloodline, the Rockefeller bloodline, everyone knows that, I guess. Disney are one, the Collins are another. The Dutch connection today, blah blah blah. It's hard to remember all this stuff, but I know there's a war going on. The Kennedy were part of it, but obviously JFK didn't want to live like that anymore, which is why they took him out. Which the rights supposed to be coming out in 2017. Whether it will or not, I suppose they'll come up with some bogus claim. You know, there's so much BS in all of the mainstream. The politicians have always been lying ever since, I can remember. They tell you one thing when they're up for election. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And basically, it's all lies. Obama, I'm going to close Guantanamo the first time I get into power. Still not done. I mean, now they're using it as a training camp for security service, for spies, to infiltrate other groups or whatever. We know that this Al-Qaeda was created by the CIA back in the 70s, and they've had a lot of time to build it up. The secret fraternities, John Kerry was running against Bush, and they refused point blank to answer it. Oh yeah, we can't discuss skull and bones. It's a secret. That's not really acceptable, is it? They work for the people. And like what goes on? I mean, in this, where they go into a coffin and the homosexual rights, and what is, these people are controlling us. These people are the politicians are ruling the world. They go into the chambers in the UN, which was the only reason I can see was the end, the World War II. Was the building of the UN and NATO to build a one world force to bring in the one world government, and it's been bantered around a lot by a lot of politicians, Tony Blair, Bush, both Bushes, Gordon Brown, this utopian sort of, and it's been battered around from sort of everywhere now, Russell Brand, sort of, I know his girlfriend's a Rothschild, and like I like to think he's for the people. But it seems what the interview he did the other day with John Snowden, it really seemed like the stuff he was talking about was all Agenda 21, and I don't know. Snowden came out, but he didn't really release anything. And I noticed one thing in the interview he had, and that was when the interviewer asked him, why did you join the CIA? Why did you join the CIA? He said, I can't answer that. Now, that raised questions to me, and he'd put in applications to go into the special services, the SEALs, all the stuff. But, yeah. There's so much going on. Monsanto, they're getting granted rights by all these courts, to plant their seeds everywhere. Putin has been, I've read somewhere that Putin is saying the killing of the bees will be the start of World War III. And, once the bees are gone, all we're gonna be able to have is the Monsanto grown seeds. And like the tests show that from the beginning, back from right in the 90s, and there was a Panorama program on the potato, on the genetically modified potato by Professor R. Pudsey, and he said that it was no good. The rats were developing tumours, and it would bind with our DNA. You know, there was stuff we couldn't get rid of, and it would totally change. Straight away, his government department was closed down. He was hounded, you know, at the end of his career and stuff. The guy had a nervous breakdown. You know, common purpose. You know, Brian Gare has just been talking about common purpose for a long time, a lot more years than I can remember. And all these people that are in power, you know, they're looking for new leaders. The way the schooling system's changed, the way, you know, all these people are like, they're experts in one field and they're getting jobs in another. You know, it's like giving, you know, it's a bit like saying, well, my dad was a fireman, so you can be a fireman. You know, it's not right. The elites have their own rules, they have their own schools. You know, they know about the financial system by the time they're 11. And obviously what you get taught in school is not really worth, there's nothing you get taught of any value. You know, you might get taught the English language, but you don't get taught what legalese means, which is an English language, but words mean totally different things, which is used against you in the court. You know, police don't understand, and the type of people that they're recruiting into the police force. You know, the thugs, you know, they can't wait to get their batons out and tasers, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. And the older guys who, you know, the coppers that I remember when I was a kid growing up, they weren't like that. And you can see some of the older guys who are nearing retirement that don't really want to rock the boat because obviously, you know, people got mortgages and stuff. All this stuff's been thrown at us. But I want to throw it at you. Roger Taylor is taking them to court because mortgages are fraudulent on the case that there's only one signature. So you affect the borrower and the lender. So it's your labour. So I'm sure Roger Taylor will attain to, and I'm sure he will win the case. But what he needs is the people of Britain to come out and you know, declare, well, I want my money back. You conned me. You bought an house for 30 grand and ended up paying 85 grand for like these bankers. We know about the failures. They still keep on getting the £1 million bonuses. What's going on? You know, you got all this crap on the telly. Hollyoaks, EastEnders, Coronation Street. I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of it, I don't watch any of it. But it's all to brainwash people to you know, so they don't know what's going on. They don't understand. It's easier to watch some crap, some made up stuff which might resemble your life a little bit, than to think that the Queen's actually a paedophile, child murdering, child trafficking, and there's already been a warrant released in Canada by some guy for the Pope and for the Queen, both on child trafficking cases. There's a film on YouTube, what the rules don't want you to see, and you know, there's just so much stuff. The Denver Airport, the murals on the wall. I mean, the Masonic stones, the Georgia Guidestones. It's just so much information out. There's just so much information out there, and it don't seem to be getting, you know, Georgia guys. There's just a mountain of information. You know, Phil Snyder, rumoured to work for the New World Order, a geologist who drilled down. You know, the videos are still on YouTube. I don't know why. You know, it's hard to make head and tail of all this stuff because it's so crazy. And you know, the Twin Towers. if you look at stuff for years, you know, 20 years, and there was so much went into comics. You know, comics, Marvel and DC and that, and Sesame Street, and all sorts of. There's all sorts of depictions which really do point a lot at that, because that's what they say, hidden in plain view. Because these people are so clever that they think we're so dumb. which we are dumbed down. We're dumbed down with TV. We're dumbed down with school. We're dumbed down, we're dumbed down with everything. We're just consumers. Then we watch some adverts. The TV plays at 60 to 120 frames per second. Yeah, the human eye can only see 25 to 35 frames per second. So why is that? There are obviously subliminal messages going in. You got cannabis, an illegal drug, yeah, which is a lot less harmful than harmless than alcohol and cigarettes. And I never believed it. I remember being in prison one time, and this guy said to me, "Well, I used to be a nurse, heroin don't do you no harm." And I was like, "Fuck off! You would say that. You know what I mean? You're a smackhead." And when I got out by chance, there was a documentary on Panorama or something. I mean, there ain't many left, is there? They took them all off the Cook Report, all these dispatches, and it's all a dying breed of television. But this doctor, it was the same doctor that had said about Leah Betts when she died on the ecstasy back in the late 80s, early 90s. He said, that she had an allergic reaction, which was a chance of about 1 in 50,000, I think, something like that. And that ecstasy was a moderately safe drug. He also said, which to my surprise, really, because I didn't think, he said that you could inject heroin 5 or 6 times a day, and it would do your body no physical harm whatsoever. Which I found a little bit unbelievable. But why? In Portugal, they decriminalised all drugs in 2001, I think. And straight away, the crime just about dropped away, and everyone thought it was going to be this drugs haven. But you don't hear about it, do you? You don't hear nothing about it because they don't want you to know about it. I mean, cannabis cures cancer. It's well known. Rick Simpson, run from the cure, and there's a lot of other ASIAC, and I can't quite remember the guy's name. But there's a lot of cures for cancers what have just been suppressed. Because there's no money in curing people. There's only money in disease and ridding people. They say that this world can't sustain all the 7 billion people that are on it. But like in England, there's 60 million people, but 70% of the land is unoccupied. It's wilderness. It's moors, and so and we're living wrong. We're living in the way they built our houses. We're in prison. And if you don't think we are in prison, you will never be out of the box. Neighbours don't talk to each other anymore. You've got blocks of flats going up, and it's people getting squashed into smaller and smaller living places. Rents are going extortionate. House prices are, well, it's just another bubble, isn't it, for the bankers and the hedge funds to make. But the derivative banks have been buying up property, so they're going to be the landlords of the future, charging extortionate rents. And you've got this war on the poor, these scummy tax, benefit frauds who don't want to work, lazy people. The work's not out there. People, if you want to stack a shelf and work in Tesco's or work in some shop selling some crap, what people basically don't need, don't want, we could. Henry Ford built his first car in, I can't exactly remember when it was, but he built it out of hemp. It was so strong, there's video, and I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. There's video of him smashing it with a sledgehammer, and it doesn't dent, doesn't break. It was run on hemp oil, his first car. And 400 or 500 years ago, it was against the law not to grow hemp. It was only when the DuPont family and the Rockefellers got into Standard Oil in the early 1900s that they brought out the film Reefer Madness, which is still around, and saying it was this psychotic drug which would, turn the people into killers. They knew that weren't true. The Indians that have been smoking hemp for years, they know that all this, the magic mushrooms, all this ayahuasca stuff, they know that opens your brain. That's why we only use like a small percentage of our brain. We're not. They don't encourage it. Kids don't all like the same thing. So you put kids, have a look, put into YouTube, yeah, could prison equals school, yeah, and have a look at the regimes that they follow. It's exactly the same. And like I've been saying for a long time, yeah, since I took, and it's, it weren't really like that when I was at school, but I noticed now when I took my granddaughter to school, there's all the fences, all the cameras everywhere, and it took me a few times, I walked and thinking, shit, this place really reminds me of somewhere. And then about 3 or 4 times it dawned on me, prison. It's prison. That's what they're training them to be. Either this pig, all this new speak, which is mostly lies. To me, all I see it is that the schools are training grounds for prison to see who will be the warders and who will be the prisoners. And being a prison warder, it's no life. These guys are locked up. All right, they might be getting paid, they might go home and have their families, but I've been in prison. I've spoken to them. They're miserable. They don't really enjoy their lives unless there's just sick fucking puppies who enjoy bashing people out, like some of these coppers. Which the headsets that the police are wearing. It's a known fact. Dr. Barry Trower. It's a known fact that he's the foremost microwave expert probably on this planet, and it's been known since the 40s, 50s. But the headgear, they're pushing a certain microwave frequency through to their brains, which is making the cops violent. The cops realise they can get away with anything. The courts, what they've been doing at Barton Moss, they've been arresting people basically illegally, and then taking them to court, and the court's getting thrown out. That's just a total waste of money. You've got police who are there, they're peacekeepers to protect and serve the public. They're marching in lorries which are going to fuck our country and fuck our water up, excuse the French. But it's going to, Ian Crane is the expert on this stuff, and that's what I mean. No one can. I don't think there's anyone on this planet who could go into a courtroom, have a debate with him, and win it. It's just not possible. He's got 20 years of experience. His mate Bear, who he's had on his show a few times, he thought, fuck this, I ain't going. This is some. You know what I mean? You've got to be some sort of fucking asshole to be into this industry. Obviously, Ian Crane was younger. Things weren't as well gone on by them. But when he woke up was when he hit Iraq. Because they lied. Fucking Blair is a criminal. He's a war criminal. George Galloway has just he's making a video. He's sort of in the limelight at the minute. Personally, I don't really trust any of the politicians. I used to speak to him on comment, and when the Woolwich thing happened, and I said, "That's not real. That's like fake." He put the phone down on me, and obviously it's a few seconds time lapse, and he didn't bother phoning me back after that. And he turned around and said, "Well, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck." Well, that was. That was to stir up trouble between Muslims and white people. But the problem is, Britain is so multicultural. Everyone's sort of like, knows someone who's got a bit of black or a bit of Asian, a bit of Chinese, Pakistan, Bangladeshi. Everyone's a big mix in this country, so it didn't work. I mean, that prick, Tommy Robinson, who's Stephen Lennon, who's in prison, and I believe is MI6, MI5, he's going into prison, his appearance will be changed, he'll just disappear, and he'll come out with a new identity. But, imagine the amount of press coverage he got straight away. He forms this English Defence League, which is, real, because the protests in Luton, they're right. They're fucking these guys. All right, they might be following orders, but look at all these soldiers. They're tricked into it. The dads were the dads were soldiers, so they're soldiers. It's not their fault. I don't blame them. I'm not against the soldiers, but a lot of them are coming back now and saying fuck. It's fucking wrong. Not unless they're getting all these radiation, this microwave frequencies into their head, and they got a bloodlust for it. They actually like killing people and murdering and raping people. And this is what goes on in war: raping of women and raping of children and killing and like beheading. What we saw from all the Syria propaganda from the BBC. It's all gone quiet now. But like these were there's no democracy. It's a pure lie. There's no good side. It's been proved. Michael Doherty, who I forgot to mention in the last one. I was ranting that much. I had too much to say. It just made me mad about the Ukraine. If you cannot see that is like a pure charade, it's just acting. I mean, when have you ever seen the police going to battle with protesters, and the protesters have come on top, and the police are just start hiding behind their shields? Okay, we're just... They beat the shit out of the protests. They beat the shit out of them in Turkey. They beat the shit out of them in America. They beat the shit out of them in the miners' strikes in Britain in the 70s, which it seems funny to me now that, like, they were fighting to keep them out of the ground in the 70s, and now they're fighting to get them into the ground. Now these experts, they know what they're doing. They know that they're poisoning, and Ian Crane's right. The fracking is, but Bill Maloney also has a lot of evidence to suggest. Well, not to suggest, because we know that the Channel Islands are owned by the Queen, and the amount of trafficking that's gone on there of children. When the Queen and that have gone in, like even the World Wildlife Fund. When they set it up, they went out there in their safari gear, shot a Bengali tiger, shot an elephant with its calf just running off, shot a fucking rhino when they were near extinction. And the people there were like firing warning shots trying to scare this rhino off. Obviously, a rhino's a big animal. It's like, fuck you, you know what I mean? But Philip couldn't resist, and bang, down the rhino comes. So all this shit about like preserving the wild fund and all that, they're fucking hunters. They've always been the fox hunting. The fox hunting got banned when it was in the 80s or 90s or something. But they still fucking do it. These people think they're above, and you see them on their horses trying to bash the protesters who are like, all right, so the foxes, there's enough for everyone. These are just greedy people. Greedy people who want it all for themselves, want nothing for anyone else. And like, it can't hold up much longer. The bank game is up. The bank game is well up. All these suicides of the bankers. The way the fines are handed out. Come on. They're like kicking people out of their houses for non-payment of a few pounds a week. When you got these companies, Serco and all that, who took over all the council stuff, making billions in profits. Fuck people, ain't it? People, NHS privatise. It's not about getting people, it's about profits. How much profits we can make out of, what is this world going to be like in another 20, 50 years? It's certainly not going to be worth people living in. And yeah, okay, there's money if you're born into money, or if, you're a criminal and you don't give a fuck about like into people trafficking or what. Drugs is the biggest scam, because the biggest drug dealers are the authorities themselves. It's well known. It's well known about the Clintons and the Mina Arkansas that they were flying weapons into Nicaragua and flying cocaine back. And Clinton's brother was involved, and it's on record. It's on tape somewhere of him saying, fuck me, my brother. His nose is like an Hoover, and it's all the people are dead. Barry Seal, all them lot gone. No witnesses. These people are ruthless. But we can't just sit around and hope that someone's going to save us, because believe me, all of these are false prophets. There's no politicians that's going to come and save us. The only way that we can beat these is none of the above. And believe me, once England kicks off here, once England comes out once the people of England come out across the country, all this Trafalgar Square stuff, yeah, it's all good. There's a lot of people who live around and near London, that's fair enough. But England's quite a big place, even though it's a small island. You know, I'm saying, yeah, when we get these things, let's not just go for the London where they're going to be thousands of police with firearms and going to be ready to just, you know, and the agent provocateurs like they did in the G20, and it'd be shut down like they did in the Canadian G8 or G20, where they declared martial law and told them afterwards, and, you know, literally just beat people, engage them. It's all exercise, just like Bilderberg last year. It was all exercise. Barton Moss, Bolcombe. The police are doing exercises. Why do you think they got video cameras videoing everyone? The reconnaissance. You know, you don't think they're going out in the morning? They're having a big meeting. The I don't know, whoever, the majors or the fucking whatever they have in the police, the squad leader is like, right, this guy here is a problem, and bang, 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 and you know, this is how the police work. This is how they work. And we just cannot take it anymore. You know, the police need to wake up. The police need to wake up and realise what side they're on and what they're actually doing. Because I'm sure, yeah, most police have got children. And if you've got children, then fracking is a thing. And paedophilia, I would have thought, but it's getting covered up. It's getting covered up all over the place. In Cameron's constituency, it's getting covered up. You know, this Oxford and Cherbourg College, who've the UK column, have been for years. I mean, Michael Doherty's got corrupt cops coming out of his ass. This guy, you know, I don't know how he come in. Well, I do know how he come into it. His daughter got taken from school by the thing, and it set him on this route. But you know, this guy knows so many corrupt cops, so much about it all. Because we're all getting found out. It's all coming out now, and you know, nothing stays hidden forever. But the way they've got away with it in the past is they wait and they kill off. They do us in generations. So like when the next generation, you know, there's 20-30 year age gap between the old people and that. Well, they're just dying off. They're not into the same thing. So by the time the little ones grow up, you know, and the 20-30 year olds now are having the kids. They don't remember. They can't remember, like, you know, and the kids growing up now, they're not going to be able to remember anything but this computer age. They're not going to know what it's like to play outside or, you know, build a tree house or what we used to do. You know, it's not this virtual reality games, you know, and the computers, the fuck knows what they're doing. These headsets, this virtual reality shit, on the Xbox and the PlayStation, and you know, big obviously Sony own, you know, Michael Jackson just had to slip away. He actually owned nearly half of Sony, and you know, and they backed him. I believed it all. I believed he was a nonce. I believed he was a thing. It wasn't until later, after I've done loads of research and looked into the whole matter, that you realise that no, he weren't. He was just, you know, he's fucked up in his head from his father, but he was just a good guy, man. He just wanted a thing, but you could see when, you know, he'd been in the Illuminati, he'd been indoctrinated from a low age, from, you know, he'd been brought up in it. And you can see in all the old cartoons and all the new cartoons, the SpongeBob, all the masonry stuff, all the you know, the pyramid stuff, it's just there. You can't miss it. You have to be a complete fool. But please, you know, just wake up and have a think and do a bit of research instead of just sitting there in front of a TV watching EastEnders, watching Coronation Street and Hollyoaks and all that crap, and the BBC News. You know, go online, go on Press TV, have a look. UK Column do a news show every day, 1 o'clock. every day more or less. Ian Crane has a couple of shows on Monday night, Fracking Nightmare, and he's just started his new one, the Crane Report, which is very good. And you know, just have a look around, have a look on YouTube, look up some of these guys, Phil Snyder and Nikola Tesla and that, you know, and Hutchinson, I can't think of his name, John Hutchinson, you know, the Hutchinson Report. The Canadian government confiscated all his equipment when he was going to take it to France. And there's quite proof on the videos that this is the technology which was used to take the towers out. There's no build, you know, this is a steel column building. A plane would have just broke up. A plane's made of aluminium. The wings and tail bit would have just fell off. There's steel columns, you know, they're not small. They're massive, they're thick. The plane would have just smashed to pieces. There's no plane would have been able to go through there. You know, we need to start asking the questions and getting the answers. And enough is enough. We have to wake up, and we have to wake up now. As soon as, you know, real soon. Like sooner than soon. Yesterday. Because this is going to be the end. We're going to be seeing you know, they're plotting it. Zbigniew Brzezinski's book, The Grand Chessboard. You know, he was writing about